Welcome back to our Influx Data Gambit chess tournament. Now we have a showdown between Greg versus Ian. And Ian is Jeffrey's son, I believe. And let's see, they're right here. And yeah, let's jump into the games. Okay, so first we have a 10-minute game with Ian playing black and Greg playing white. Classic e4, e5 opening. Throws in a check and blocks it with the pawn. Drops back. Okay, and at this point, Greg has got a lead in development with 2 pieces developed. Ian has moved the knight twice, and is a little bit behind in development. And at the moment, because of the structure of the pawns, this bishop doesn't have a happy place to go. Whereas white's pawn structure is a little more open. The bishop can easily get out, although a lot of the squares are blocked. They're not that useful at the moment, but it can at least develop to e3 here. Knight can develop, and black, maybe has a lot more moves to get pieces to interesting squares. This square is, currently not defended, which makes it a not good candidate. So maybe something like this, trying to get a pin on the queen. King moves out of the way. Could be a castling attempt gone wrong. And I do like this move because it gives the bishop a little bit more freedom. Challenges the center. Whites can take the piece, but the bishop's going to have to move either way. Bishop moves back to the check, and we have a king move. Classic idea is you want to block it and force white to take or move away without moving the king. The advantage of not moving the king is you retain your castling rights. But now that the king has moved, castling's off the table for both sides. So we have a pawn move here, maybe making room for the knight to come to this square. And we have that pin that we talked about. This challenges the bishop, says, are you going to move back or are you going to take the knight? Now, in this case, moving back is a problem because the bishop quickly runs out of spaces. So if the bishop moves back, you play g4 here, attacking the bishop again, and it's got no safe spaces to go to. It's trapped. You end up having to take the pawn, and you win the bishop for the cost of a pawn. There's a little bit extra cost to white in that it breaks up the structure around their king. But in this case, the rook is in the corner. It's kind of stuck there anyway. You might just want to open it up just to get that rook to have some action in the game. And we see that black does indeed fall into this trap. And Greg sees it and capitalizes on it right away, trapping the bishop. Instead of capturing and accepting the exchange of a bishop for a pawn, Ian moves the knight, try to make room for the bishop. But Greg is not going to allow that and just captures the bishop. And the problem now is instead of a bishop for a pawn, you just straight up lost the bishop. So probably the best move was, in fact, taking the pawn. But after this move weakens the g6 square, and if I was white, I might be looking at trying to get my queen to that square. This knight defends it right now, but maybe we can convince it to move. If we can get our queen to that square, it's defended by the pawn. we can probably at least cause some trouble or uncomfortable position. So I like this, taking pawns, opening up the position. The king's trapped in the middle, so taking as many pawns as possible is just going to expose the king to more trouble. So I like White's plan here. Develops the bishop. Probably need to do that to get the rook out. And now the pawns just push forward. Connected pawns here are pretty powerful. Black probably wants to take this other pawn to just disconnect the two pawns. If you give White a chance to push this defended, it's going to cause you a lot of grief. So we see that. And White king moves out of check, attacks the knight. The queen defends the knight, so it doesn't have to move. But then the other pawn falls to the bishop. And now the knight is attacked twice, so we either need to defend it again or move it out of the way. We choose to defend it again. And Black plays a move to challenge the pawns on the side. Now, I don't know if I like this. I mean, you're giving White a chance to undouble their pawns. Even playing a move like knight takes g6 here, defending the bishop and attacking the rook while being defended by this pawn. So probably this move is not really working well. Let's go back a second. Ironically, a move like this might work. Now the bishop's attacked. There is a pawn takes en passant, but if you just play this knight move now, the bishop falls to the pawn. Maybe the rook falls, but then queen takes back, and you've traded the rook for two minor pieces, the knight and the bishop, and that's actually not a bad exchange for Black. All right, hopping back to our game. White doesn't take the offering. Plays queen move up, maybe to defend the h5 pawn. And I'm not sure what this move accomplishes. On the downside, this kind of sidelines the knight on the side of the board. You can't really jump into these positions. This one's blocked currently, and this one just brings you back to where you were. A better move was moving the other way, knight d4, hitting both the queen and the bishop. I'm not sure that you're going to win one of them, but it is a much more active play. You might... I'm not sure. I think probably best move is bringing in more pieces to attack this knight, especially the move like the rook. Now if the knight ever moves, the rook's in line with the queen, and you win the queen. So adding a third attacker, and White can easily add a fourth. Sorry, Black can easily add a fourth attacker to this piece, and then White might be in some trouble. But the knight sideline doesn't add a ton of pressure. White finishes his development, and rather than adding more attackers to the attack piece, we switch to another piece here, and it's possibly not going to be that effective. Big problem here is, I think, White has now moves that deliver check. This move comes in with check. It's possible already Black's king is too exposed. And White finds this move that wins the pawn, attacks the rook. Now it's defended by the knight, and this might be the point in the knight move, was to add defense to this, but Um, I don't know that it's going to be enough. There's a lot of pieces right around Black's king now, and already Queen e5 here looks like it's pretty devastating. King has to go to f7, bishop c4, comes in with check. And your options are, well, you can't move back, so now maybe something like the queen has to block and sacrifice itself. You're actually in quite bad shape. That looks like checkmate. So already the king is way too exposed here. Greg plays a preparing move here. Might give Black some time to regroup here. Now Queen e6 here is strong. Just going for the check right away. King g7. Yeah, it looks like you can take the knight right away because the king will block the defense here, and that's going to be again another really strong attack here. So it takes queen e5 still works. So we do get queen e5. This is forced. Bishop c4 is the best move, but looks like we missed it. The problem with this attack now is that the queen can take back because it defends this square. And it looks like Ian missed the chance. This is his probably last chance to win here. Queen takes, rook takes, king takes, and now it's Black who's winning. So it can definitely change really quickly here. But he misses the opportunity, steps away, and now you can take the queen with check, which is going to end the game. Looks like you could even end it faster just with immediately bishop c4 check. If the king moves to the corner, another bishop check, cutting off every square of the king, and all Black can do is throw his pieces in the way. It's checkmate. But taking the queen wins as well. This is a nice check. Bishop e5 was a little bit better because you block off the king's escape route using the bishops to kind of corral the king. And now queen f8 here is mate because the king can't escape to the sides. The queen will cover this whole diagonal. Rook covers the back and the side. That would be mate. We got queen d6, still crushing attack. It's going to be really hard to find a way out of here. And oh, okay. So this is a bit of a blunder. The bishop could take the queen here, and while white is still winning, it'd be a lot harder to do it without the queen. Queen now takes the bishop, and get all the pieces involved. Rook takes. Queen's going to come back now, and king's going to be running out of spaces. Queen can even take h6 now. Queen can take h6 with checkmate. The pawn at the back covers off the only escape square. And that's it. Game 1 goes to Greg. Let's go jump to game 2. We have Ian's starting with an opening I don't know. Um, okay, getting aggressive by bringing the queen out. I don't like this one as much because it removes the queen's escape square, and an idea might be to try and trap the queen here. Um, Queen can easily run out of spaces. Okay, this check can probably just be blocked. Well, we get another king move, giving up the castling rights. Now you can block this with the pawn because the bishop in the back still guards the knight, so that's safe to do. That move I don't like quite as much, just because you're kind of you're getting in the way of the rook getting out later. Black castles. Greg's probably thinking of getting that rook involved in the attack. It's looking like there's an attack going. This threatens to win a pawn. Actually threatens to take the knight, and after the pawn takes back, take the bishop. Or threatens to win a piece. And misses the attack. So Greg attacks the bishop, but the bishop doesn't take. So if takes, white's up a piece and is winning the game. But we didn't get that. The bishop stayed hanging there for a few turns. And Greg instead goes for the checkmate, but misses that the knight still guards this square. So unfortunately, your opponent is going to find this because it's the only legal move. So you can't hope that they miss it. It's the only move that they can play. So now after takes, Ian's winning again. Up a piece. This is a nice capture because white can't recapture because of the pin. Bishop comes to the defense. Knight comes in with a check, taking advantage of that pin. Pawn still can't capture it. King has to move. This defends the knight. This knight's also defended by the bishop. But now you could actually take it. White misses that. This bishop has been hanging for many, many turns. And they're just going to play around it. Okay, activating the rooks. This is, probably a good idea to keep pushing here. You could even capture this one, and then the rooks will see each other. So that's something interesting. Bishop finally moving out of danger. And now this knight has been hanging for many, many turns. White needs to capture it. And with this, we have a problem here. And the knight has this check where it can get out of danger, check the king. There might be... Yes, not sure what else there is. Black brings the rooks in, probably planning to double the rooks or try to win the d4 pawn. King moves, which I'm not sure. Maybe gets, probably it protects the h2 pawn, which is good. This pawn's still weak here, and we see that it gets captured. And now you have to watch out for checking moves that opens up the attack of the rook to the queen. So this move would be especially deadly because once you're under check, you're going to be forced to move, and then the rook's going to capture the queen. So in this position, the queen needs to get out of the way. Unfortunately, like every line on this diagonal is guarded. You can't go this way because of the pawn move early in the game. That leaves, 3 squares that you can get to. And all of them are just a little bit ineffective. Unfortunately, b4 doesn't work because it's still in line with the rook. That leaves us 2 squares. Unfortunately, it's a little bit sad. The queen's quite sidelined right now. Probably a5 is the better one. Blocking with the pawn is an interesting idea. Unfortunately, the knight also attacks this bishop, so now there's no good way to defend that. And we see that it falls, and if rook takes, and that's unfortunate. Now white should play probably queen d1, just getting a little more active, attacking this knight, attacking this pawn. The pawn would come with check, so it could win the bishop. So I would say that's a fork. The threat of winning both of those pieces is pretty good. White doesn't see the attack though, and moves the bishop. Unfortunately, it's a square that the rook can capture, and Greg does capture that right away. This is a good move, but finally, move 26, white finishes the development of their pieces and gets all the pieces active and into the game. But unfortunately, it's a little late. The queen's still on the side of the board. The knight's only just now developed, and the rook's still on the side of the board. Black's got a strong attack going, and even though the material is close, it's I'd prefer to be black here. And this check is pretty strong. The knight is not defended, and so the king's got to move out of the way, and you're gonna win the knight. This is a double attack here. Might have been a better move. Maybe just something like g5, taking away moves from the king, and the knight already guards this square. And so when you look at the availability of the king, this threatens this check with mate. So very, very strong. Okay. Black could have immediately taken the piece, but stopped to guard the pawn. Gave white time to get out of the way of the attack. This move, I think, is just looking to prevent the knight to get to any good squares around the king. And now black can start to capture pawns. Which, probably was the actual reason. Okay, h3 is a good move. Just protect that last pawn. Unfortunately, the king's got very few squares that they can go to. You look, the rook is covering off all these squares. Whenever you have a position like this where um, the white king can't move to any square, usually the idea is to find a way to check the king, especially with a knight, but any piece will do. Move like this, take you 2 moves to do it, but it'll work. Maybe even bishop here. No, it doesn't quite work, I don't think. Oh, but what about g5? That's a check, and it can't be blocked. And that would be mate. Oh my god, and he finds it. Amazing move to find. Well played, Greg. Well played. That was quite good. I think that's 2 wins for Greg. Yeah, I think Greg has it. Looks like they played a tie-break match, but I don't think we have a tie. But did I get this wrong? Looks like they played a 3rd game. Take a look at it anyway. This knight is hanging. Now white can just take this piece. Well done. Don't take the knight because it's guarded. Yeah, this probably in here. Takes, and that's a nice check. Black's probably going to want to give up the bishop to keep white out of the position. The problem with this pawn structure here is it's really strong on the dark squares, but very weak on all the light squares. And you can see white's pieces fit really well into the light squares. So a couple hanging pieces, capture the rook for the knight. Some shuffling to try and get the king to safety. And white taking good advantage of those light squares. Unfortunately, this is defended by the bishop, so you're going to lose the bishop to do that, but black doesn't see it. This is a nice fork hitting both the bishop and the queen, and the queen falls. And there's probably a mate here. If you can get your queen into the corner, the king's only escape is here. So if you can block this square, you'll have mate. Maybe a move like bringing the bishop in for a check here is the best idea. Knight captures is good. Maybe knight here covers this square and provides mate. Black launching a counterattack. But accidentally drops the bishop in the process. And now, actually, h2 is pretty strong. Unfortunately, you can't quite make a queen because it's protected. But it's probably the best chance black's had here for a bit. And we drop the piece in the attack. White plays the check a little too soon. Needed to play knight b5 first, blocking this escape square, and then the check is checkmate. Now this piece is hanging. You can trade the rook, but you're going to lose the knight. But yeah, white is still winning. Looks like White actually lost on time and black won this game. Maybe if I had the order of the games wrong, this is why there's 3 games. They could have played this one earlier and then needed to play the third one for the tiebreaker. So yeah, Greg comes out on top with 2 wins. Let's drop that into our bracket sheet, and there we go. Greg comes out on top. See you at the next one.